Hi, I'm Jessie Prey.
And I'm Andy Cassette. Welcome to Love Murder, where we unravel the darkest tales of romance turned deadly.
Our episodes are long-form, narrative-driven, and deeply researched. Perfect for the true crime aficionados seeking stories beyond the headlines.
Like the chilling case of Blanche Taylor Moore, the so-called Black Widow who left a trail of poisoned lovers.
Or the shocking murders of Chad Shelton and Dwayne Johnson, where family ties masked a sinister plot.
Subscribe to Love Murder on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 474 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Good. What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
What up? Oh, not much, man. I'm having a good week.
Are you?
We got a lot of great episodes.
Yeah. You want one of these pain pills?
No, but you have said some very interesting things.
Yeah.
Both on the TCAT that is out right now, which is on Susan Monica. And this is just a wild story. One of the wildest ones we've done in quite some time.
Crazy.
Authorities were notified that her handyman, Robert Haney, had been missing for a number of months. When they searched her ranch in rural Oregon, they discovered Robert's remains. But that was just the beginning. They discovered all kinds of strange things.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't even want to give it away because, like I said, it is a wild story. So make sure you check that out.
Please do.
But you did say some very interesting things.
As I always do.
Whether fueled by pain pills or not, I don't know. Let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout outs. We had Laurel.
Hey, Laurel.
Julie P.
What up, P?
Denise Walker.
Hey, thanks, Walker.
Roscoe the Rescue.
Well, thank you so much, Roscoe.
Paul Parmley.
What's going on, Paul?
Josianne GC.
Josiane?
Maybe.
Yes.
And last but not least, Whitney Lindsay.
I'm like, Whitney. I wonder if she has like the voice of Whitney.
And then if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Don Black.
Hey, Don.
You know, I would doubt it. Nothing against Whitney, but very few people have that type of voice.
That is true.
She was in a league of her own.
She was not in that movie.
When it came to voices.
She was in a different movie than that.
She was in The Bodyguard.
That she was.
All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I am.
We're talking about the murder of Adre'anna Jackson. In December 2005, 10-year-old Adre'anna Jackson disappeared while walking to school. Months later, her remains were found in a vacant lot. Adriana's cause of death is listed as undetermined, but investigators are treating her case as a homicide. And I like to hear that, Gibbs. We run into a lot of scenarios where they don't want to go with undetermined. They want to go accidental or something else, which kind of then shuts down any possible investigation.
Yeah, at least coming out of the gate, they're doing it the right way.
I think so. If you're not 100% sure, why not just go undetermined and then, at least investigate it as though it could potentially be a homicide?
Yeah, at least you have more options that way.
Adre'anna Anita Federici Jackson was born on September 25th, 1995 in Tacoma, Washington. Adriana's mother, Yvette Gervais, is a member of the Penobscot Nation in Maine. Her father, John Federici, is a former Army private. According to the News Tribune, John has a criminal record for theft, assault, and harassment. John and Yvette met in Oregon and lived there before moving to the Tacoma area in the 90s in search of work. The two never married. Adre'anna was the youngest of Yvette's 4 children. 2 of her children were grown. Yvette had a daughter in Colorado who was 2 years older than Adre'anna. The kids knew Adre'anna, but they didn't see her often. In a creative writing class, Adre'anna wrote that her favorite vacation was going to Colorado to visit her sister.
Oh, that's sweet.
It is. This was a sister that she didn't see very often. And so it sounds like she really cherished those visits and the time that she got to spend with her.
Yeah, sounds like they were very impactful.
Adre'anna and her parents lived in Tillicum, a neighborhood in Lakewood, Washington. In an interview with the News Tribune, Yvette described Adre'anna as a girl with a fiery personality who was also sweet. Whew, I got one of those.
Yes, you do.
My youngest, she can get very fiery.
Very quick.
But she can also be the sweetest person in the world. It just depends on, her mood and how somebody, I guess, comes at her. If you come at her the wrong way, you're going to get the horns.
Yeah, you know where she gets that from, right?
No, I have no idea. Yeah, I know exactly where she gets it from. But, normally I'm a pretty sweet guy, but I can get fiery, ornery from time to time.
More times than you think. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's true. One of Adre'anna's favorite things to do was go to the library in Tillicum. She checked out several books at a time and joked that she was one of the best patrons of her library.
Did you go to the library a lot?
I did not.
No?
Nope. Not growing up, not in college. I don't even know where the library was in college, to be honest with you.
Yeah, not surprised.
No, it's not surprising at all. I'm just wondering, nowadays, with the internet and just everything we have at the touch of our fingers, how many people are actually going to libraries nowadays?
That's interesting. I wonder what that number would really be today. I still feel like some people really enjoy having a book in their hand.
There is something to be said for that.
Yeah.
There's also something to be said for like the Kindles, just the convenience of them and not having to have what I have, which is 5 different bookcases here to handle all my books.
Because they take up space.
They do.
And I'm sure, if you get to the cost of it, the publishers are probably more in favor of the Kindles or the smart readers because it's, less production.
Well, I think they probably make more money.
Yeah.
As far as like a profit margin. Right. I don't know. Could be wrong about that. A lot of people in the past used to go to the library, check out like books on tape.
Oh, yeah.
Now you can pretty much listen to whatever you want at any time. Adre'anna had also enjoyed raising guinea pigs for several years. Another one of her hobbies was gardening with her mother. Now, she grew up in a low-income household. Yvette relied on disability benefits due to arthritis and past ankle injuries. John worked odd jobs. According to court documents, Adre'anna's family was on the client list for the State Department of Social and Health Services, according to an agency spokeswoman. And police had responded to incidents at the family's residence. Officers came to the apartment on September 11, 2002, after neighbors reported hearing a girl scream. According to the police report, John's breath smelled of intoxicants. He denied that any physical altercation had occurred, but Adre'anna had a mark on her cheek and a bump on her head. She told police her father pulled her hair, punched her in the stomach and on the arm, struck her on the head, and scratched her face. Adre'anna was taken to the hospital for evaluation. John was arrested and charged with third-degree assault of a child. A temporary restraining order was issued, but a permanent order was not granted because Yvette did not appear in court. In October 2002, John pleaded guilty to fourth-degree domestic violence assault. Prosecutors lowered the charge because of problems proving the allegations and a belief that the victim was against prosecution. So we have, out of the gate here, what appears to be a pretty serious incident, although the repercussions against John don't seem to be all that severe.
Right.
I think due to a number of different factors, but I definitely think this was domestic violence. I mean, you're punching a young girl in the stomach, in the head, scratching her face, pulling her hair. First of all, what kind of man are you?
Exactly. What is wrong with you?
I think, though, one of the issues with some of these is, okay, the mom doesn't go to court regarding the permanent restraining order, most likely because she probably still wants to be with this guy. And how's that going to work if the three of them can't live in the same house because of a permanent restraining order? And then there was also talk about maybe Adre'anna was against prosecution.
Yeah.
There was no details about it. Now, was that her or was that somebody else talking her into it?
Yeah. Or afraid.
Or afraid.
Yeah.
Of what would happen if she actually went through with it. John failed to undergo required counseling, so he was put on probation until June 2004. He has declined to speak publicly over the years, but Yvette has done multiple interviews. In a 2006 interview with the News Tribune, she noted that there were also good times in their family and that Adre'anna and John played basketball and kickball on the weekends and twice attended a father-daughter dance.
You know, you're going to have those moments, and even a bad relationship, you're going to have good moments too.
But those don't excuse what he did.
Not at all. It's never okay.
Yvette said her daughter was bright and likable, with a tendency to go exploring. According to Yvette, she'd often want to go traipsing off by herself, but we wouldn't let her. Their neighbors in Tillicum helped look out for Adre'anna because they didn't have any other family nearby. One of those community members was David Anderson, the pastor at Tillicum Baptist. Anderson told A&E that Adre'anna was a delightful girl, wanting to help, desiring to please. Sunday school teacher Jean Olson recalled that she regularly saw Adre'anna playing in the neighborhood, but she was often alone. Jean told the Seattle Post-Intelligencer in another interview, "I loved Adre'anna. She was a very sweet, charming, winsome girl. She was very artistic, very creative." Pastor David Anderson recalled how Adre'anna became his shadow and helped him work on cars. She took the bus to church every Sunday. She also helped out in the office at his business, Bill's Boathouse, on nearby American Lake.
Sounds like she was doing a lot.
Well, it does sound like everybody had nothing but great things to say about her. I mean, she took the bus to church.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes it sound like her mom and John weren't going, so she went by herself.
She wanted to make sure she got to go to church that day. That's how she did it. When she wasn't doing that, she's down at the boathouse working, helping out. She's over here helping out. Sounds like she was pretty social.
Busy, but she also seemed like a really good person.
Right.
But I do want to go back to, her Sunday school teacher saying that she saw her playing in the neighborhood a lot, but she was often alone. Now, I don't know what you make of that. Maybe she didn't have a lot of friends. Maybe she preferred to be by herself.
Could have been.
There's no way to know for sure.
Yeah.
According to Yvette, in the last year of her daughter's life, Adre'anna fought for independence after seeing other children out in the neighborhood at night. Her and I fought tooth and nail all the time. She couldn't understand why she'd see younger kids playing hide and seek after dark. And I get that. If you're 9-10 years old and you're seeing kids your age or younger being able to do something you're not allowed to do, that's going to be tough.
It is.
But we know that different parents have different parenting styles. Some people are, no, you're 10 years old. You don't need to be outside after dark. While other parents might be a little less hands-on and say, no, you're fine. It just depends on the parent.
It does. Everybody, like you said, everybody's different. I mean, but then again, she's 10 years old, taking a bus down to the church. She's going over here to the boathouse. She's going over here. Seems pretty independent.
It's a lot for a 10-year-old, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yvette always kept an eye on Adre'anna. And if she was out of earshot, Yvette would go looking for her. She noted that Adre'anna typically stayed within a few blocks of her home. So I do get the sense, Gibbs, that at least according to Yvette, she was a pretty strict parent as far as not wanting Adre'anna to venture out too far away from home or go out at night.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like she knew where she was going to be.
Which is not a bad thing at all. You know, starting a new business is challenging. And Gibby and I had so many questions when we started this podcast. Most of them we just had to answer for ourselves. See what worked, see what didn't. But one decision we never regretted was going with Shopify for our podcast merch. They've made that part so incredibly easy. Shopify has powerful AI tools to help you build your storefront. They can also help with social media campaigns. They'll help you get the word out. Like you have this huge marketing team behind you. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. If you're serious about hearing your first, start your free trial at shopify.com/unsolved today. You heard that right. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/unsolved. That's shopify.com/unsolved. On the night of December 1st, 2005, a snowstorm hit the area. School was canceled on the morning of Friday, December 2nd, 2005. Clover Park School District spokeswoman Kim Prentice told the News Tribune that the district notified the Puget Sound Emergency Communication System, which alerts TV and radio stations about school closures. Between 4:30 and 4:45 a.m. Friday, the notice appeared on the 5 a.m. news broadcast. The district also used its automated phone message system to alert families. But Adre'anna's parents didn't have a landline phone in their apartment. They listed a neighbor's phone as their emergency contact, but no one answered the phone that morning per the News Tribune. And, you know, that could be tough, right? If you're not watching the news and you don't have a phone, how are you going to know that school is closed? Now, my wife does not have that problem because if she even thinks that there might be a delay or school's going to be closed for her, she's glued to that scroll across the bottom.
Just hoping.
Just waiting for her school to come up saying closed. She'll get up early and just drink tea in front of the television. I've seen it happen.
In hopes that she could just go back to bed here in a little bit.
Exactly. Yvette recalled that it was a normal morning. While Adre'anna got ready for the day, she and John watched the weather to try to figure out if school was closed. They decided to send Adre'anna to school to see whether classes were being held. And I thought this was a little strange.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you're watching the weather, is there not, like I said, kind of a scroll at the bottom, which has been a pretty long-standing thing?
Yeah.
Going back to when we were younger, I think, showing which schools are on a delay, which schools are closed. I don't know what weather they're watching that wouldn't have that. But obviously, according to them, they had no idea. So their thought was, well, we'll send her to school and she'll find out there whether classes are being held. I just found it odd.
It's very strange. I mean, if you feel like the weather's bad enough that she probably doesn't have school, why not just keep her home?
Yeah, I could understand that.
Or why not walk down with her so you can bring her back if school is closed?
But Adre'anna left home around 7:45 a.m. She was last seen walking from her apartment on Wadsworth Street southwest towards Tillicum Elementary. It was a 3-block walk that normally took her about 5 minutes. The route was lined by houses and apartments. She didn't have to pass through any woods or narrow alleyways. Yvette gave Adre'anna a hug and told her to come right back if school was closed. Adre'anna promised that she would. And I go back to something you just said. Why not just one of them walk down with her? It's 3 blocks.
Why not walk with her? 5 minutes down, 5 minutes back. Not that difficult.
No. Again, I don't want to badmouth them because I don't know the situation. It's just the things that are happening, I guess, from my point of view, don't make sense, I guess, for what I would have done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I just feel like maybe I would have done it a little differently.
Yeah, I mean, we're, doing the old Monday morning quarterback thing.
Yeah,
but
which is easy.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make it out as like they're bad people because of it.
No.
Now, when she didn't return, her parents just assumed school was open. Although school was closed, some employees were in the building that day. No one reported seeing Adre'anna arrive in the morning.
So it sounds like she never made it down there.
That's exactly what it sounds like. She also wasn't seen by the Fennell children who were playing in the snow across the street from the school in front of the Tillicum Baptist Church rectory. This was according to their father, Reverend Scott Fennell. I would have thought if she saw them, if she knew them, they probably would have said, hey, turn around, school's closed. Or now maybe she didn't know them at all and they didn't know her.
Yeah. But still, if you saw some kids out playing, you're probably thinking,
pretty good chance school is closed. Yeah. Adriana's parents became worried when she didn't come home from school at her usual time. Their worry increased when they learned there was no school that day. Yeah, I know for me, that's when panic would set in. Now, I get it, right? If you put your kid on the bus or your kid walks to school or you drop them off or whatever it is, you are assuming that if you don't get a call from the school, they're there and everything's fine.
Yeah.
The problem is if there is no school that day, you're not getting a call from the school to say that she didn't make it because there ain't nobody there to make that call.
Exactly.
And there's no reason to make it because she's not supposed to be there.
I'm also just a little surprised in this neighborhood that you don't hear kids outside playing, or if you even went outside for a minute, you might see some kids playing. Because I know when my kids were in school, I always knew when they didn't have school because I could hear the kids outside playing out in the snow.
At 7-something in the morning?
Yeah, I could
hear.
I could hear them out there. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's
Now, say if it was me and I knew there was no school, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
I know my kids would have been the same way, but I get you.
And I certainly would know if I went out at lunchtime and saw kids here and there out in front of their houses playing with snow, or I'd be like, oh, the kids didn't have any school today.
Yeah, but there was no mention that either Yvette or John went anywhere that day.
No, must not have. Yeah.
They searched for Adre'anna in some of her normal hangout spots. When they didn't find her, they called 911 to report her missing at 4:23 p.m. And this is something similar, right, that we see in many unsolved cases. When somebody doesn't make it home at the time they're supposed to, there's not always a call to 911 right away. What we see is a lot of times parents go out on their own to maybe places that they think their child might be. And then if they don't find them in any of those places, they come home and they make the 911 call. So I don't know that this is out of the ordinary at all.
No, I think, you don't want to even believe that she's missing or she's lost. You just want to think, maybe she went over to this friend's, or she went over to, the boathouse, or maybe she went over here, because she didn't have school. But when you can't find her, then that panic sets in even deeper, and then that's when you got to make that call.
Well, and I also think that there's a part of people, they don't want to call 911 unnecessarily.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to jump the gun and call, and then she walks in the door, and then you kind of look like an idiot.
You're the parent that overreacted.
Yeah. So, there's a fine line there of when do you make that call. Police officers and residents of Tillicum spent the evening searching for Adre'anna. They checked railroad tracks, ditches, parks, empty apartments, trailers, and abandoned houses. Tillicum is a small 1 square mile community, so it was very concerning when Adre'anna was not found. 1 square mile, still a bit to search, but I think when it comes to a community, it's not a big place.
No, it's feasible to search that with the fair amount of people.
As night approached and the temperature fell, the police called in the Pierce County Search and Rescue Service On the night of December 3rd, 2005, the Lakewood police called off the search for Adre'anna. Lakewood Assistant Police Chief Dave Hall said, as quoted by the News Tribune, "We haven't given up hope, but we've searched all logical and available places where this young girl could have gone." Authorities had also searched American Lake, which was several hundred feet from Adre'anna's apartment building. However, divers found nothing in the water. So, yeah, it's only 2 days, but like we said, 1 square mile. They even had divers in the lake. At least according to the assistant police chief, they checked everywhere they knew to check. Police did note that there were 51 registered sex offenders in the neighborhood, and they were seeking alibis from all of them. Okay, I don't know how many people are in this town. In this 1 square mile town, 51 registered sex offenders could be a really high percentage.
Seems like a lot.
Depending on the population of the town. On December 5th, it was announced that the FBI had joined the search, and an underwater unit would search American Lake with sonar equipment. Detectives spent the weekend following up on leads. 2 girls reported that they spoke with Adre'anna on the night of December 2nd at Woodbrook Middle School, located east of I-5, but ultimately nothing came of this tip. FBI divers searched the lake on December 6th, but found no signs of Adre'anna. What I will say, Gibbs, is that it does seem like they're not taking this search lightly.
No, it seems like everybody's trying to do their part.
And they've even had the FBI in. So it's not like they've turned away assistance from other agencies. Investigators did say that a search dog tracked Adre'anna's scent to the water on December 3rd. Yvette also noted that Adre'anna liked to play near the lake.
What kid doesn't?
Who doesn't like a lake? But this is concerning, right? A search dog tracking her scent to the water. The problem is they've already had police divers, FBI divers. There was talk of bringing in sonar equipment. They hadn't found anything yet. And then the FBI search ended on December 8th after finding no evidence that she was in the water. Police said no additional searches of the lake were planned unless they were given specific information that would necessitate a search. Detectives were also continuing to verify the alibis of the 51 registered sex offenders in Tillicum. And I don't think that's a bad place to start.
Not at all.
Now, because you're a registered sex offender, does it mean you're going to harm a child? Not necessarily, but obviously you've done something in your past to cause you to have to be a registered sex offender.
Which allows you to be open to these investigations.
Yep. On December 10th, it was reported that the Lakewood police had confiscated a boat and a dumpster from American Lake North County Park as part of their investigation. Investigators were alerted to the boat by a witness who said it had been tied to a public dock for a couple of days and was out of place. The dumpster was found near the boat.
Yeah, the dog tracked her scent up till the lake, then stopped. Maybe that's when she got in a boat or got put into a boat.
Could be. Could possibly be. I'm kind of trying to figure out this dumpster. How big of a dumpster are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like the dumpster out back of a store that would have to be picked up by, the trucks that have the hooks on them. And if so, why is it found by the boat? I don't know. It seems strange. Lieutenant Brett Farrar of the Lakewood PD said they collected the boat to leave no stone unturned, not because of anything suspicious. And I kind of feel like they don't have anything suspicious at this point other than the fact that she's missing, right? They don't have any real leads, tips that they've been able to make anything out of, but it does seem like they're just doing anything and everything they can do to check on what they can.
Which is great. I'm glad they're doing that.
Yeah, me too. Investigators admitted they still had no person of interest or suspect. Police reported that John Federici told them he walked Adre'anna part of the way down the block before turning back on the morning of December 2nd. However, elements of his account changed in subsequent discussions. And we questioned it, right? Why wouldn't one of them walk her down there? It's 3 blocks, right? 5 minutes. Well, now John's saying that he did walk her, but just part of the way. And then he turned back.
Why not?
That makes no sense at all to me.
No, because if you're saying it's a 5-minute walk, why not just go the distance?
You turned back at what, minute 3? Or at a block and a half? Or
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it looks like the school's probably open. Okay, I'll see you later.
Lieutenant Farrar said on December 9th, as quoted by the Post-Intelligencer, "Where we're at is we have no strong persons of interest, but no one has been cleared either. Anyone who's had anything to do with this girl is being looked at." And I would have to think, Gibbs, John would be one of those people. You know, let's go back to the incident of domestic violence. You know, police have to know about it.
Of course.
It's on their radar, which means John has to be on their radar. And then he kind of gives this somewhat strange version of events where he walks Adre'anna part of the way to the school, even though it's not that far. And then he turns around and comes back.
Yeah, I think, both mom and dad are going to probably be on the radar for now.
Yeah, until they're ruled out, for sure. Family always is. On December 13th, it was announced that the FBI would return to American Lake to use sonar to map the lake floor between Bill's Boathouse, Silcox Island, and Harry Todd Park. The week prior, agents searched the docks at the park, and divers searched the surrounding water. The one thing that I was just thinking about is it's December in Washington State. Not going to be warm.
No. It's going to be a little chilly out.
Yeah. Can't imagine that these divers are too comfortable. I know they have those wetsuits. They can be pretty insulated, but it's still got to be cold.
Yeah, of course. I don't know how I'd feel about being one of those divers, though, to recover. You're going down there to recover somebody.
Well, if they're in the water, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not going to be alive.
So I can't imagine seeing anybody, especially a child.
Yeah, it would be tough. It would be hard for me because I don't know how to scuba dive.
No, you don't like water anyway.
I don't mind water.
You won't even bathe.
That's just a time thing.
Okay.
I feel like my time is better spent in other ways.
Okay.
Police asked the FBI to expand their search, not because of any specific information, but because, according to them, we're just trying everything. Again, it goes back to my theory that they don't have much to go on, so they're trying to cover all their bases.
There's nothing wrong with that. Keep throwing things up on the wall, hope something sticks.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, go find some other stuff to throw up on the wall. Maybe you'll get somewhere.
Well, I feel like if you don't have any specific leads or tips, there's really not much else you can do.
Yeah.
Investigators renewed their plea for information and emphasized that no one has been ruled out. Lakewood police were still seeking the owner of the 14-foot boat abandoned at the public dock. It had no identifying numbers, name, or brand. Okay. A little strange.
It is.
In late December, Yvette Gervais expressed her frustration with the investigation and the fact that she and John remained suspects. She told the News Tribune, "They've spent too much time on us. I think we're stuck in a rut. I wish I had a lead." Police said that both parents were given lie detector tests. Yvette passed, while John's test was inconclusive.
The old inconclusive.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, well, what does it really mean? Inconclusive. What does that mean? But it also might be why it was pretty hard for police to rule them out. Now, if they'd have both passed, would they have? Maybe. I don't know. Lieutenant Farrar noted, nobody's going to be considered a suspect or cleared based solely on a polygraph It's just another tool that we use. And I actually absolutely love that statement.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should be conclusively cleared or conclusively considered a suspect solely based on a polygraph result. I just don't view them that way.
No, but I like using it as a reference.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad tool. It just can't be the end-all be-all. Police were continuing to interview anyone who knew Adre'anna or her parents. They were also testing items seized from the family's residence, such as diaries and clothing. In her interview with the News Tribune, Yvette said she had talked to John and asked him some difficult questions, and she didn't believe he had anything to do with Adre'anna's disappearance. She said, "I've done my own resurvey of my house. I believe him. I really do." Now, there probably is nobody that knows him better than her at this point in time.
And if she believes him, she believes him.
But does she believe him because she wants to believe him? And I think that can happen when you're in a relationship with someone. Do you really want to believe that this person who's been in your life for X number of years could actually be responsible for the death of your daughter?
And his daughter.
I think it's a tough one. On December 22nd, the Lakewood police searched the home of a friend of Adre'anna's parents. The man told KIRO-TV that officers accused him of molesting Adre'anna, which he denied. Cadaver dogs also searched the neighborhood that day, but found nothing. Okay, that's a little tough to go on TV and say that officers accused you of molesting this girl who's gone missing. This 10-year-old girl, let's not forget that.
Yeah, 10 years old.
Now, the problem is we don't really know where they got their information from or how, good it was. Additional searches over the next 4 months yielded no clues. On April 4th, 2006, 2 boys playing on an undeveloped 2-acre property at 146th Street Southwest and 76th Avenue Southwest found a human skull and spine in a blackberry bush. The boys who found her were Dominique Eason and Manny Peters, both 9 years old. They were hunting for snakes in the underbrush and instead found human remains. The boys ran to the first adult they could find, but that person didn't believe them. The boys had a feeling that the bones could be their missing classmate, Adre'anna, so they ran to a nearby apartment complex and asked the manager to call the police. The manager went to look at the remains before calling the police. Officers determined the bones were human. Now, I get it. You got a couple of 9-year-olds saying something. Could it be hard to believe? I guess so. But to me, if they said they found human remains, I'm probably going to err on the side of them being truthful.
Yeah, I think you have to, right?
Well, apparently not, because one person completely dismissed them.
Yeah, I don't get that.
On April 5th, the police announced that dental records identified the remains as Adre'anna Jackson. Adre'anna's remains were found just 1 mile from her home and several blocks from Woodbrook Middle School, where 2 girls said they saw and spoke to Adre'anna on the night of December 2nd. The site was also less than 5 feet from one of several encampments on the vacant lot, 1 mile from her home.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we've done a number of cases where it turns out that, remains are found in a very similar situation, not far at all from where the person lived.
I mean, she's close, right? I mean, a mile from the house, not too far from her school either.
And they've been searching for her for a while now. Police noted that construction workers had been in the lot clearing brush and excavating, which is what might have exposed and scattered the bones. After the identification, Yvette Gervais's sister spoke on her behalf and said she was in Colorado caring for her sick mother and was not up for interviews at that time. John Federici's neighbor, David Jacobson, told the News Tribune he's been on pins and needles, I think it's going to kill Yvette emotionally. I think it'll kill John too. He loved that little girl so much. So I think some of that does help explain why maybe they weren't able to find her during the search. Sounds like it was a really densely wooded area, brush, stuff like that. And it was really due to this excavation that I think her remains were uncovered.
Thankfully, right? I mean, if they didn't clear that lot, who knows how long it would have been before they would have found her.
Yeah, it could have been a long time. The FBI's evidence response team spent 10 days at the site, collecting hundreds of pieces of evidence, such as cigarette butts, empty soda cans, and other trash. More of Adre'anna's bones were recovered from the site. At a news conference on April 10th, officials released a photo and description of 44-year-old Spencer Douglas Grant, who was known to frequent the lot where Adre'anna's remains were found. Police emphasized that Grant was in jail when Adre'anna went missing, so he was not a suspect or person of interest in her death. However, officials heard he was familiar with the encampments around the lot and was aware of what was going on in the area. At the time of Adre'anna's disappearance, Grant was serving a 335-day sentence for trespassing and was released on February 22nd, 2006. That is a heck of a sentence for trespassing, seems like.
It seems like it, but I wonder what was all involved in that.
Yeah, we don't know the details, but that's almost a year for trespassing. Must have been a serious trespass. But I do want to go back to this lot and the talk of encampments. It makes it sound like there were people living in tents or some type of makeshift shelters around this area. And this guy, Grant, was one of them.
Yeah.
Now they know he was in jail when Adre'anna went missing, but they're also collecting all of this evidence. And I think it's going to be really tough to figure out if any of it goes with the fact that she went missing, because you have all these people out there just kind of living on the land, I guess, and probably throwing their cigarette butts and their empty cans all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of tough, but I guess collect what you can in hopes that you can use it down the road maybe.
Yeah, there's no harm in collecting it all, right? Except for time and paying people salaries, but
time and money.
Police also announced that the reward for information had increased to $60,000 after the FBI contributed $50,000. On April 11th, Julie Warren, the girlfriend of Spencer Grant, told the News Tribune that Grant found the skeletal remains in March, but did not call police to report the discovery. He found the bones on March 10th or 11th. Grant wanted her to go to the lot to look at the remains to see if it was the right size to be Adre'anna Jackson, but she never did. Neither she nor Grant called the police because there didn't seem to be any time for it.
Any time for it? We're just so busy. We didn't have time to pick up the phone and call the police.
That is such a strange revelation.
Very strange.
So it sounds like he might have found her remains almost a full month, Gibbs, before these boys found them. He told his girlfriend about it. He wanted her to come see it. She didn't. But even so, neither of them called the police. Even if you didn't think it was her.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody.
So just call the police. You don't need to leave your name. Just say, hey, found a skull and bones over here at such address. Click.
Now, Grant was back in jail on March 13th, and she was heavily pregnant and gave birth on March 23rd. She hadn't seen or heard from Grant since April 1st, when he left to look for one of his sisters. So maybe there's something to it there.
Yeah.
You know, she literally gives birth less than 2 weeks after he finds these bones. Doesn't surprise me that she doesn't want to go to look at them, but to not pick up the phone. I mean, I think it's fair to question that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Investigators continued searching the lot for evidence, and 100 people gathered outside Adre'anna's elementary school for a memorial. John Federici attended, but did not speak to the crowd. And I really don't make much of that to be honest with you. I think if this happened to my daughter, I don't think I'd be able to speak to a large crowd. It'd be very tough.
Hard to pull up the words to put out there.
Yeah. So I don't make anything out of stuff like that. Investigators ended their search of the vacant lot on April 14th. They reported that callers had been contacting Crime Stoppers with sightings of Spencer Grant, but he hadn't been located. On April 18th, detectives detained Grant for questioning. He was cooperative. Authorities planned to book him on outstanding warrants after they finished questioning him. On the 19th, he told the News Tribune he was surprised no one found the bones before he did. I don't see how no one couldn't see that body. It was in plain view. Somebody should have found her. He said he found the bones next to a cleared trail. When he first saw them, he thought it was a dog's skeleton. He used a stick to lift a branch, obscuring the remains, and saw a skull and spine. But he didn't think it was Adre'anna. He explained, the skeleton was so far gone. I didn't think she would decompose that fast. I thought it was an older man because a lot of the teeth were capped. I didn't think it was her. I was hoping it wasn't her. Grant also claimed he thought he knew who killed Adre'anna, but refused to elaborate. Okay, we got a lot going on here.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, first of all, I just don't understand. Not calling the police to report the fact that you found what you believe are human remains that ultimately do turn out to be human remains. And he's talking about, well, I didn't think it was her. Okay, I get it. You didn't think it was her. But again, it's still somebody.
Yep.
Why not just call the police and let them handle it?
I don't get it. I really don't understand it.
Unless he's out there doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Well, if he is frequently going to this lot, there's got to be some type of illegal activity going on.
Well, and obviously he's got a criminal record. He's in and out of jail, it sounds like, but we don't know. Other than trespassing, I don't know what else his record contained. And then there's this revelation, right? That he knows, or he thinks he knows, who killed Adre'anna, but I'm not going to elaborate on that.
Yeah.
What?
Come on now.
If you know or think you know who did it, can you at least tell the police? It just seems to be something going on with this guy.
It's almost kind of like a game.
Maybe. He admitted he found the remains 3 weeks to a month before the official discovery. And he told about 15 to 20 people about it. But no one called the police.
He can tell 15 to 20 people, but he can't tell the police.
Yeah.
And then these people, for whatever reason, they didn't want to tell the police either. That's how much losing this girl did not mean to them.
Well, he gave investigators the names of a dozen men and women who frequented the vacant lot, which was reportedly a popular spot for people to smoke meth.
There you go.
So that might be part of the answer.
Yeah.
For why he didn't want to call, for why none of these other people wanted to call, because you're going to get asked, what are you doing out in this vacant lot? And you don't want to tell the police you're smoking meth. But then to me, you know, him saying, well, I didn't call because I didn't think it was her, is probably not the most honest statement. It's more like, well, you didn't call because you're out there smoking meth and you didn't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. You didn't want us to come out there and bust that site and take away you get your meth supply at.
Grant also claimed he showed investigators bloody children's clothes during a trip to the lot. These clothes were collected, but police noted they were not bloody. On April 20th, a police official said they were looking hard at half a dozen people, including a man in the Pierce County Jail. This man was an acquaintance of Adre'anna's parents. Police spoke to him early in the investigation and again before he was arrested on April 13th for outstanding domestic violence warrants and for failure to register as a sex offender. Yeah, that is a guy you probably want to look at.
Need to look at.
By late April, the Pierce County medical investigators had finished examining Adre'anna's remains. Medical examiner Dr. John Howard was still awaiting reports from law enforcement and a forensic anthropologist before making his ruling on the cause and manner of death. On May 26, 2006, the Pierce County medical examiner declared Adre'anna's cause and manner of death undetermined due to decomposition. Her death certificate states skeletal remains, insufficient information to determine cause of death. And I get it, man. It can be tough with solely skeletal remains.
Yeah.
To determine a lot. Now, we've seen it. Could have a broken hyoid bone that maybe would denote strangulation. You could have knife marks on some of the bones, maybe the rib cages, that might lead investigators to believe somebody was stabbed. But if you don't have any of that, well, you'd just be guessing.
Well, that's all you would be doing
at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously, if the person was shot in the head, you'd have bullet holes in the skull and things like that. But without all of that, I could see why it would be hard to determine. Authorities continued investigating Adre'anna's death as a homicide. However, the undetermined ruling not only makes solving her case more difficult, but it also makes prosecution more difficult if an arrest is made. And that does make sense to me. Obviously, if you had the cause of death as homicidal violence or something along those lines, that would be better for a prosecution down the road.
Sure.
With it being undetermined, that would give the defense attorney or a defense attorney some ammunition, right, to help better defend their client. Hey, they couldn't even determine at the time that this person was murdered. Now you want to try my client for murder.
But if it's undetermined, it's undetermined.
Yes.
It's better than, some of these cases we do, they say it's suicide. But then they have to go back and change it to undetermined because it really wasn't suicide.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you can't figure it out, then just mark it undetermined. I do believe it's possible to change it to homicidal violence later on.
Yeah.
If there's some irrefutable evidence that comes in that points to that. I could be wrong, but I think that's possible. The location of the crime also complicated the investigation. According to Lieutenant Chris Lawler of the Lakewood Police, per Fox 13 Seattle, we're right next to I-5. Anybody could come off that freeway, a predator. There's all sorts of suspects. It could be someone that she knew, could have been a sex offender living in the area. I mean, there's all sorts of information. In the summer of 2007, authorities began looking into the possibility that serial rapist Terapon Dang Adhan was linked to Adre'anna's disappearance. Adhan was charged with multiple counts of rape in Pierce County. The charges involved 2 underage victims. Prosecutors also plan to file aggravated murder charges against him for the July 4th abduction and murder of 12-year-old Zena Lennick. Zena disappeared from outside her home in Tacoma on the night of July 4th, 2007. During a fireworks display, Zena's father heard her scream and then saw a van driving off. He was able to get a partial license plate that led police to Adhan, who was arrested July 8th. 4 days after he was arrested, once prosecutors agreed to take the death penalty off the table, he led investigators to Zena's body. Zena was found in the Silver Lake area near Eatonville. She had been raped and died from a blow to the head.
So this guy has the MO to do this.
Well, he's certainly capable of it. There's no doubt about that. Zena was 12. Adre'anna was 10, both very, very young. Adre'anna was abducted in 2006. Zena was abducted and killed in 2007. So, the time frame, the area, all of that, while not exact, probably doesn't rule him out for sure.
Right.
According to NBC, Terapon Adhan arrived in the U.S. from Thailand in the 70s after his mother married a soldier. He enlisted in the Army in 1983 after graduating from an American high school in Germany. His service ended in 1990 after he was convicted of incest for raping a female relative. He was sentenced to 2 months in jail and 5 years of counseling. He told his counselors he was sexually abused by an older brother growing up. Okay, I'm not sure about a conviction of incest for raping a female relative. I get it. It is incest, but it's rape.
Right.
And you get 2 months in jail?
It's a slap on the hand.
That's not even. That's like a whiff.
Yeah.
That's like you went to slap this guy's hand and you missed completely.
Yeah.
Adhan was considered a person of interest in Adre'anna's death because he had the day off work and was in the area at the time she went missing. Ken Spruill, former owner of the defunct tow company where Adhan was employed in December 2005, said the business was closed that day due to the weather. Lakewood police put up flyers with Adhan's photo throughout town, asking residents if he had been seen in the area. Several residents said they had, but none recalled seeing him the day Adre'anna went missing. On July 4th, 2007, he was charged with the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Zena Lennox. He was also charged with the 1995 kidnapping and rape of a 21-year-old woman and the repeated sexual abuse of a teenage girl who lived with him for several years. This guy was an absolute monster.
Really was.
And a predator. On July 31st, Lakewood detectives spent hours tearing apart a garden in his sister's backyard where he previously lived. Investigators drained a pond and removed topsoil. They also obtained a DNA sample from him. In February 2008, the Lakewood police received test results from the carpet samples taken from the home where Adhan once lived, but they wouldn't speak on the results. On April 7, 2008, Adhan pleaded guilty to 15 crimes, including 1 count of aggravated first-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and first-degree rape for the July 2007 murder of Zena Lennox, 3 counts of first-degree rape, and 1 count of first-degree kidnapping for the case of an 11-year-old Tacoma girl abducted on the way to school in May 2000. After being raped, the victim was left in a secluded area on Fort Lewis. 1 count of first-degree rape, 3 counts of second-degree rape, and 3 counts of third-degree rape of a child for repeated sexual assaults of a teen girl who lived with him from 2003 to 2005. This girl reported that she was sexually abused up to 200 times, and there were at least 15 instances where she was physically restrained and held down while Adhan raped her. The girl said the abuse stopped when she fled the home at age 16 after Adhan raped her at gunpoint.
What a monster.
Finally, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of failing to register as a sex offender. He was sentenced to life in prison on May 2nd, 2008. You're right. Absolute monster. Life in prison. And this guy should never, see freedom again.
Never.
But we've seen time after time. This is what can happen when someone gets 2 months for raping a family member. Again, Gibbs, what type of message are you sending? And it can only be one message. Yeah, I got caught, but the consequences aren't that bad.
So I'll do it again.
So there's nothing stopping me.
Yeah.
Right? I just don't get it. Now, I do get it was a different time, but it wasn't like it was the 1950s.
Right.
It was 1990. 2 months in jail and 5 years of counseling. You have got to be shitting me.
Yeah.
That's how upset I am about that.
It's a joke.
It is a joke. Or it would be a joke if he didn't go on to then hurt so many other people.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing, man?
Probably why he was on probation.
Man, that's got me fired up. So once the deal was complete, investigators planned to request that prosecutors ask Adhan if he killed Adre'anna Jackson. They thought that with the life sentence, he would have nothing to lose and may be willing to cooperate. The problem is there don't seem to be any recent updates in regards to his possible connection to the death of Adre'anna. It seems that authorities never publicly ruled him out as a suspect, and there are no announcements confirming he's linked to the case.
Why would he help? He's not going to help.
Yeah, is there anything in it for him? No. And do people do this when there's nothing in it for them? Normally not.
No.
In April 2025, the Washington Attorney General's Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Person Cold Case Unit took over the case. The purpose of the Cold Case Unit is to assist federal, municipal, county, and tribal law enforcement agencies in solving missing person and cold homicide cases involving Indigenous people. Investigation begins when a local police agency or jurisdiction makes a request. Adre'anna's case was forwarded to the unit in mid-2024. The team goes over the case file, then meets with the local agency to discuss next steps, such as identifying additional people to interview, canvassing locations, and potentially using DNA technology. Experts hope that the cold case unit will utilize methods and technologies that weren't available in 2006 that could determine Adre'anna's manner of death, or that DNA could be found to identify a suspect. So as we wrap this one up, Gibbs, as of right now, at the time we're recording this, 2026, Adre'anna Jackson's death remains unsolved, and her cause and manner of death are still undetermined. And I get the second part.
Yeah.
Right? They just don't have enough evidence to say one way or another how she died. Man, there are a number of people who we talked about who could potentially be involved in what happened to her. This last guy was an absolute monster.
Sure was.
He abducted and murdered at least one girl.
Yeah.
While she was on her way to school, and she was young. I think like 12 years old.
Right.
So in the same age range as Adre'anna. I think what's often frustrating with a case like this is, they're really looking at this guy. They're looking at this guy and the papers are talking about him. And then there's just nothing.
Yeah. And then there's nothing after that.
Yeah. So, is it that they're still working on it? They didn't find anything and it wasn't worth reporting on? We don't know.
It's just sad that this happened to that little girl. You want her parents to know what happened and see justice delivered.
Yeah. And again, I hate to cast aspersions on the family, but I do understand why it would be hard for police to rule out John. He has a criminal record. He has a criminal record against Adre'anna.
Yeah, he does.
For domestic violence.
Yeah.
And then he himself put him with her that morning for whatever reason, walking partway to the school, but then turning around and coming back. It seems strange. It doesn't mean he had anything to do with what happened to her, but it does seem strange.
So until you get certain answers, you're left with the unknown.
Yeah, and you can't rule him out.
Right.
It would be almost impossible. But at the same time, there's nothing that directly points towards him, or at least nothing that has been made known.
Right.
Man, I tell you, I would keep looking at this Adhan guy.
Oh, for sure.
He looks to me like he could have done anything. I wouldn't put anything past this guy. And I do think, when they talk about like this new cold case unit and potentially using DNA technology that wasn't available back then. I mean, if they've got any DNA at all, then that's how they're going to solve this case.
For sure.
But we don't know if they do or not.
Let's hope they do.
But this is one to be able to keep an eye on. And we hope that it gets solved sooner than later. But that's it for our episode on Adre'anna Jackson. We got a voicemail. You want to check that out?
Let's hear it.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tess and Kat. I'm listening to the newest Unsolved, and Gibby, you're kind of right. It is the wild thornberries. That little girl's name was Eliza, I believe. She was they're from like Australia, and she had special powers to talk to animals. But you're semi-right. It's the wild thornberries. All right, guys, stay safe. Keep on trying to.
I love it when people say you're right, And then they have to say, well, you're semi-right.
Yeah.
Because you said the wild quisenberries or something like that.
I was at the ballpark.
I don't even think you're in the stadium.
Hey, I'm not going to. Have you seen Tats and Cats?
I don't even think you're playing the same game.
I'm not going to argue with him. He's a badass.
Who?
Tats and Cats.
Oh, well, I haven't seen him. But
yeah. He's like one of those.
I will take your word for it.
Jiu-jitsu.
What is it?
Jiu-jitsu.
No, I think you said it correctly. It came out so fast I didn't hear it.
He's like a champion, and he's also a trainer.
Okay, well,
he looks like he's a guy you would want on your side.
Yeah,
not against you.
No, thanks for telling me before I say something bad about him.
He's also like you can tell he's like a really good guy.
Okay,
from some of his posts that I've seen.
Well, we need him on our side
yes,
for sure. But no, I got a lot of people on Patreon saying, yeah, it was the wild thornberries.
Yeah.
I never heard of either one of these things you're talking about. So
your kids must not have watched them.
I think it might have been before my kids' time. Because your kids are just a little bit older. Your oldest is a little older.
Yeah. I want to say it was like the Rugrats grew up or something.
I don't remember them watching Rugrats or anything like that. They were watching iCarly and all those shows.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah. People will always find a way for you to be at least a little bit right, even if you're 100% wrong.
Hey, I'm 100% right 60% of the time.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Exactly.
Sex Panther. Wow. All right, buddy. That is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
Welcome to Pluto Phone. If you know the name of the movie you'd like to see, just stream it for free on Pluto TV, where all your blockbuster favorites are landing all summer long. Catch Anchorman, The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Fantastic.
The Matrix Trilogy.
Welcome to the real world.
Mean Girls.
Shut up.
Titanic.
I'm the king of the world.
And so much more. For showtimes, press nothing. They're free 24/7.
That is so fat.
On Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.